Hello, and welcome to the Piano Lessons for Parents podcast, the practice edition. But you're going to hear all that again. Due to some technical difficulties, my recording for this week's practice edition did not turn out, so I'm going to represent an important podcast from the past. This is episode 4, a re-podcast of the most important thing you will ever learn about practicing the piano. Hope you enjoy it. Hello, and welcome to the Piano Lessons for Parents podcast, the practice edition. My name is Dr. N. Mason Conklin, and I'm here to help you help your child succeed at the piano. In just a few minutes a week, you can learn the basic musical concepts that will help you supervise and evaluate your child's practice time at home, and learn some tricks and tips to help your child make the most of their at-home practice time. Today is all about practice, and today you will learn the most important thing you will ever learn about practicing. Okay, are you ready for the most important thing that you will ever learn about practicing? Well, okay, here it is. Here is the most important thing you will ever learn about practicing. Practice means repeating sections correctly. That's so important, I'm going to say it 3 more times just to make sure you get it. Practice means repeating sections correctly. Practice means repeating sections correctly. And practice means repeating sections correctly. Let's go through each of those. Practice means repeating sections correctly. Well, of course this makes sense. There's an old saying in piano teacher circles that practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes permanent. So if you spend all of your time playing it wrong, then all you'll be able to do is to play it wrong. That's why we have to learn how to judge whether we're doing something correctly or not. And that's where really the main education focus is when we teach your kid about how to read music. They have to know how to count the beats. They have to know where to put their hands. They have to know what fingers to use. They have to know what notes to use. They have to know articulations, dynamics. They have to know tempo, appropriate stylistic features, pedaling, and the list goes on and on and on. And it's a lot, I know. That's one of the reasons I decided to put together this podcast, Piano Lessons for Parents, to give you the information to help your child decide if they are in fact doing it correctly or they're not doing it correctly. Second, practice means repeating sections correctly. For the earliest beginners, the pieces are really short, so they can just about play the entire piece as a section. But even with short pieces, there's going to be a place somewhere in the music that gives them a little hiccup. It's going to trip them up just a little bit. So it's important to identify those spots and isolate them. If you're having trouble with the last 6 notes of a piece, well, let's just work on those last 6 notes. Make sure you're doing it correctly, and we'll work on that section. Finally, practice means repeating sections correctly. Here's what I think normally happens at the practice bench. Little Jane sits down to practice her piece, and she plays, and oh shoot, she's made a mistake. So she tries again, and she plays, and shoot, she's made another mistake. And she plays, and another mistake. Now this may go on 5 or 6 times, and then it happens. She plays, she plays, she plays, she gets it right! Woohoo! Yay! I'm done? No, you're not. You just played it incorrectly 5 or 6 times, and correctly only 1 time. You need to repeat the section correctly to ingrain it the correct way. I have another little saying that gets at this concept too. It goes like this. In order to practice, you must first learn. See, most students think that when they sit down at the piano and they learn their music, that they're doing the practicing. Well, not yet really, because until you can repeat it correctly, you're not really practicing. You're just trying to learn what it is you're supposed to do. And this may be one of the best ways that you can help monitor practice. First say, okay, let's look at this section and learn the correct way to do it. Then you might need to help with finding a hand position and counting and getting their finger numbers correct and the note names. Then after it's correct, you say, great, now let's practice that until we get it right 5 times. The next day when you come to that section, you may have to review it to make sure it's correct, and then it's time to practice, that is, repeat it correctly again. And another analogy that can help you understand this concept of practice being repeating sections correctly is to think about what happens on a sports team. Instead of saying sections, let's say components of the game. Practice is repeating components of the game correctly. If it's basketball, maybe what you're practicing is your free throws. A free throw is a part of the basketball game. Now, when you first learn to shoot a free throw, well, that's step one. And then after you make it the first time, are you done? No, you have to sit there and you have to repeat that action over and over again, because eventually you want to get to the place where you make more free throws than you miss. And it takes time. Same with tennis. Let's take a component of the game in tennis. Maybe it's working on your slice serve. Well, yeah, first you have to learn how to do it. You may hire a coach and they'll show you how to toss the ball and how to bring your racket back and slice it through just the right way. And you'll probably fail the first 7 or 8 times. It'll go straight into the net or way outside of the court. But then you're going to get it right once. All right. Are you now done with the slice serve? No, you're not. You're going to have to repeat it over and over again. And there's going to be times when you get it right more times than not, and times when it seems to fail you. And that's what practice is. Taking a section and repeating it correctly. Piano is no different than tennis or basketball or football, except there's no balls and you're not playing against anybody else and there's not danger of injury so much, so maybe they aren't all that much alike. But in the way you approach the skills that you need, they are very much alike. So, thanks for watching. If I leave you with anything, remember this. Practice means repeating sections correctly. Thanks for watching. Tune in next Monday. We'll go over the whole note and up, down, and same at the keyboard. And I'll see you then. Bye-bye.